ecology. What is human ecology? This is the study of the living things on how they interact to non-living things. One of the examples of the non-living things is the plastics, rags, or anything that doesn't have any life. Now, what are the examples of a living thing? You, a human. You are an example of an unliving thing. And another example is the animals and plants. Now, let's consider first the human. As we woke up in the morning, we are using a non-living thing. One of the examples of these are the clothes. One of these are gowns made of a dead plants. Human use these dead plants to make beautiful gowns. This and this. Another example on how humans interact to non-living things. Didn't you think for a moment that human is so genius? Isn't it that they can make an artifact out of a dead woods, out of a dead leaves? One of these examples are these baskets, these rattans. Another example of this is the plastics. We use plastics to store foods, especially these Tupperwares. One of these we use the designs for our house. Maybe other may consider it as a thing that may destroy our ozone layer, but it is a very useful thing in this world. This is just an example of how a living thing interacts to a non-living thing.
And now, we will be talking about on how plants interact with non-living things. First, let us define non-living thing. Non-living thing is a thing on ecosystem. It provides food, shelter, water, rich good soil, and many more. And now, let's talk about plants. Plants need non-living things to survive. And plants use sunlight to grow to make their own food. It is called photosynthesis. And one way which our plants living use the dirt, and plants grow in the soil.
There are many ways living and non-living things interact in the environment. Example of these are made up of trees, and these are chair, table, and paper. Then, the seeds are planted in the fertilized soil, together with water and mineral. Then, the seeds grows into a plant, which is a living organism. Algae are a very large and diverse group of simple, typically autotrophic organisms ranging from unicellular to multicellular forms, such as the giant kelps that grows into 65 meters in length.
How animals interact to non-living things. Now, animals they use the non-living thing to make themselves shelter and to live. Now, example here. Imagine a tall tree. A tall tree that has nest and bird. Now, bird there has 3 eggs. Now, nest there is the non-living thing and the bird there is the living thing. That's why they make this shelter to make the 3 eggs comfortable. Now, those animals are vegetarian. Example, goat. Goat eats grass. Now, grass there is the living thing. If goat eats the grass turns into a non-living thing because it is already eat. Don't say that if the grass is been eaten, it's still living in its stomach. Now, another example to carnivores. Imagine you are in the Africa. There's a cheetah and cheetah running, trying to catch a buffalo. Now the cheetah tried to catch the buffalo. Now the buffalo is being beaten. So the buffalo there is died. Now buffalo is a living thing that past time. Now it's a non-living thing because it's already died. Now the cheetah made that living thing turn into a non-living thing. It makes it into the food of him. Now let's try to go in another place that there's an example of animal. Let's go. Hey. We are here in the place that there's an animal. Here's the dog. It's hiding. Okay. Here the example is how animals interact in a non-living thing now. Example, the sound. Sound is a non-living thing. Look. See the sound. The sound is a non-living thing. So my sound is used and then the dog is speak. It means that the dog interact with that sound and the sound is non-living thing. Now, the dog use their sound, their bark to communicate to other dogs. Like the dog bark here and the dog hear the bark of this, it will bark also. So, that's the example how the animals interact to non-living thing. That's all. Thank you.
Another way will be when animals use rocks as hiding place for living and hunting. An earthworm with one of these processes take in soil and spit it out again. This way, the earthworm fertilizes the soil. The worm is living while the soil is not.
As you can see, we identified some example of how a living thing interact to a non-living thing. Especially, this contributes a lot into human. All we need to do is just to take care of our own resources. Appreciate the thing that God given us. And lastly, we also need to take care of ourselves. Because we are the one who will benefit in these things. Hope you enjoy.
That's the end of our video report.
Hope you learned some about human ecology and how interact living things to non-living things.
Thank you for watching and listening.
Bye! And
Now how animals are
we will be talking about on how plants interact with non-living things. And now we will be talking about on how plants interact with non-living things. And
now how is the
There are many ways living and non-living things interact in the environment. There are many ways living and non-living things interact in the environment. One way would be the way that